For hundreds of years, we've seen societies advance from primitive tribes to thriving civilizations like the Great Roman Empire. But what if we lived in Minecraft? Introducing Earth 2.0. Here we'll be seeing constant natural disasters, brutal winters, and violations of the Geneva Convention. So just like normal Earth, it is in this massive world where hundreds of players will be asked to survive, build societies, and relive through some of the darkest times in human history. Which continents will rise to the top? How will humanity evolve over time? And what, if anything, could be our downfall? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you hundreds of players spawn across the world, some finding luscious biomes teeming with life, and others,
no, please no, please no. I need water, please.
Not so much. In the early days, most people focused on their own survival, migrating to stay hydrated and avoid unstable weather. A couple days later, tribes began to form, as players realized that working together increased their chances of finding food. They harnessed the power of water, grew farms, and built the first primitive shelters. But they had to be careful, as natural disasters could strike at any moment.
Oh my.
We saw tornadoes, blizzards, and even earthquakes devastate entire societies. In a settlement in the United States, we saw our first form of tribal conflict.
Wait, bro. I thought we put everything.
Get out. No. They're welcome to your own civilization.
Within different groups, the first leaders rose to power. A player named Trillium was appointed the King of Africa after he saved dozens of people by discovering water and sending out search parties to rescue those stranded in the Sahara Desert. On the other hand, Great Britain decided to elect their leaders through more honorable measures.
Oh, Sullivan takes a hit. Oh, another hit from Mr. Wah.
Dude, they're commentating this like a sports match.
We saw many different ideologies form, such as communism in Russia and a theocracy worshipping the gods in the Amazon rainforest.
Do you see that book right there? Everyone has to protect this book. This book is our life.
I approve of this book.
Religion became a central part of these societies, as players speculated that staff members were controlling the weather, prompting many leaders to order the creation of shrines and temples to honor the gods, similar to the Aztecs in the 1300s. Of course, the Australians decided to build a giant kangaroo instead. But soon, a great test that would only ensure the survival of the fittest would envelop the world. Crop farming became obsolete and animals froze to death, leaving it almost impossible to find food.
Do you think you can spare us 2 strings?
Oh, MagicGum, oh, MagicGum, spare us some bread, please.
Yeah, this was a full-on humanitarian crisis. Entire settlements were wiped out, leaving nothing but ghost towns behind. In droves, refugees flooded into the most prosperous civilizations, begging for scraps. He who controlled the wheat controlled the world. In civilizations with meager food reserves, order quickly broke down.
Berry farm.
I'm half a heart.
Go back to the.
Oh!
Okay, Zoo, we need to make a decision here. Zoo, he needs to go. You know who I'm talking about. Stigma, it's not personal, but we're.
Whoa, what?
However, not all was lost. Regions like China survived by foraging the wilderness for mushrooms to create suspicious stew, one of the strongest food sources in Minecraft. The people also found a pig frozen in ice and began worshipping it as they thought it was a sign from God.
Was in a water source when it generated in, and then it became ice, so it is naturally frozen in ice.
We can hear its whispers from the mountains. It gives us prophecies.
So I will kill it for the god. Let it free first, and end its life.
End it.
Yeah!
The coronation of the king! The king has been crowned! Rip my pig. Rip my pig.
But when they returned from their expedition, they found their buildings turned to ash, friends slaughtered, and valuables looted. They were attacked by Russian raiders. The surviving remnants vowed to get their revenge. They held a funeral to mourn their fallen comrades, packed what was left, and headed for a new land to rebuild. In their journey, they came across the perfect place, an island that we now know today as Taiwan. The Africans survived after finding a cow that could produce milk, and the animal quickly became a holy symbol in their culture. In fact, they kept one milk bucket for religious purposes, nicknaming it the milk of life, and missionaries began traveling to spread the word of the magical white substance. They were actually pretty successful, and the milk of life became something of a famous folklore in the world. With the Ice Age wiping out 40% of the population, nations began rapidly preparing for future disasters. The Arctic people migrated to Greenland for better conditions, which if you didn't know, is also 80% ice.
It's Clash of Clans music.
Yeah, we've been waiting
They got a small wheat farm going and were even able to build some nice Nordic huts. However, they really couldn't catch a break. Russian communists who survived by pillaging other regions for food found their new location. The Russians are here.
Get their king, get their king, get their king.
Help! Help! Help!
Kill
Spin them off the Marcos! Spin them off the
Kill
Marcos!
these people.
Get over here.
Don't have to do this, guys.
Oh, this is the end for him.
Did he die? Did we kill him?
Yeah, we killed him. We killed him.
Amazing, amazing, perfect.
Surprisingly, the Arctic people were able to repel the attack, but the damage was already done. To honor their fallen soldiers, they constructed a sword monument symbolizing their harsh journey through miles of Arctic terrain and battle. As a result, their political system became based on strength, and a player named Gucci Elf rose to power through a fight to the death. But as you can imagine, there still wasn't much to go around, and their economy wasn't the greatest. Do you sell anything?
Doing good. I have a carrot.
Mining resumed after the Ice Age, and custom natural resources unique to each region were discovered. Spices from India, fur from Canada, emu feathers from Australia, gold from the United States, tea from Great Britain, diamonds from Africa, and oil in the Middle East. Nations began trading with each other, leading to the first alliances forming, usually determined by who they bordered.
Just like in real life, we come to Africa to extract resources.
Right, sharing is caring, yeah.
After the first European civilization formed in France, people began migrating outward, establishing new nations in Italy and Great Britain. Because of their roots, these civilizations considered each other family and traded with each other despite cultural differences. They even held a marriage between a player from France and a migrant from Asia.
Do you two swear to be loyal to each other?
I do.
I do.
Okay, for the remainder of this event, you two will be married together.
Okay, let's kiss. Let's
Do you
kiss. Let's kiss. Kiss.
Together, France, Italy, and Great Britain united under one banner, forming the European Union. In Australia, I found someone building a UFO in the middle of the sky. I was confused, so I decided to take a closer look at what was happening in this godforsaken region. What I uncovered was a tale of two civilizations. The first civilization called themselves the Upside Downers, ever since they were hit with a tornado. Oh no.
No, Linus!
No! Linus!
No! Linus! Look at this. You did it to our boy!
They've been struggling to get things going. Their solution was to elect a nationalist known as Venzai as their leader, who promised to bring their civilization back into greatness. Their rivals were the Outback, a neighboring town that wasn't hit by a tornado and was looking a lot more civilized. The Outback built a giant sign pointing to their settlement for new players to find, and were able to grow a lot more quickly than the Upside Downers, who had a bit of trouble convincing people to stay.
So if you look up there, this is Ro. He called Josh ugly, considered it a felony, put him in there, and now he's a test subject.
So instead, Venzai did what any rational leader would do, immediately began developing weapons of mass destruction, and gave his smartest scientist Josh the Nerd his own personal bunker to experiment in, so the two civilizations would live in harmony for now.
Australia together! Australia together!
If a ruler had two or more regions under their control, they would become recognized as an empire. Becoming an empire meant access to more technology and blocks, incentivizing nations to expand their settlements either through diplomacy or war. For stability, the Arctic decided to merge with Canada to become an empire. This merge brought in much needed food and fur for the Arctic and completely reformed their political system, replacing fights to the death with democracy. On the ground, Canada constructed a massive railroad that spanned over 15,000 blocks connecting the two nations together.
So much traveling is happening.
The Canadian leader Citraslad became the first emperor and immediately executed the Arctic's leader Gucci Elf before any chance of a rebellion, which was actually a really smart move. But Citrus's rule didn't last for very long.
Wish we could say I have good news and bad news, but it's purely just bad news. Our emperor died to fall damage.
The fact that our king was murdered in front of our eyes is also quite questionable. The fact that the Arctic region, which was more powerful than the Canadians ever were, had a Canadian emperor is a disgrace to me. I can't believe that that was ever allowed to happen.
Well, if that isn't a speech, I don't know what is.
Well,
Denzel quickly became the new emperor, but seeing the Arctic destabilized, a visitor from Africa named Ottomer decided to capitalize on the situation.
we're literally.
Oh no!
feel obliged to inform you guys that Africa has declared war and things are about to get a little spicy.
mother!
Take care.
However, he didn't get very far.
I used to be feared.
Is this your prison, Audemars? Dude, this prison's so nice.
I know, look at this. I asked for carpeting and they told me to shut the F up. It's my shower, my bath, my source of hydration. They don't really have sanitation standards here. They don't even have running water, even though they're surrounded by it.
As the days passed, Audemars slowly began losing his sanity.
Supposed to be extradited to Africa. Not yet, though. What the hell is he doing out?
Oh, this is my daily allotted hour of exercise. That's why I'm out here.
Okay.
Come with me, please.
I would soon realize that he wasn't joking when he said he used to be feared. When Josh the Nerd was testing out the Juan Cannon 1.1, a weapon that definitely would have revolutionized warfare as we know it, things went horribly wrong. They died to their own technology. After Josh's death, Australia fell into a dark age where frequent terrorist bombings and assassinations were plaguing the continent. With tensions at an all-time high, the two Australian civilizations decided to merge into an empire. The only question was, who would be the emperor? Venzai of the Upside Downers or possessed Thunder of the Outback? When Venzai won the vote, Thunder accused the election of being rigged and began pandering to new players, showering them with welcome gifts in exchange for their loyalty, threatening to split the nation in two. Not wanting unnecessary casualties, Venzai decided to peacefully give up the throne.
I just want to say, with this combining Australia as one, I think this will bring peace and make us extremely strong. This is a good chance to show us our power.
Whoever has their mic echoing, can you turn that down?
Alright.
I think maybe Maker.
Oh god.
Crap.
I knew it, I told you!
Out of nowhere, Venzai's friends crashed the ceremony.
Uh-oh, Thunder. Uh-oh, Thunder.
He's dead! He's dead! Get out of here!
Kill him.
The citizens at the crowning turned a blind eye, and for the first time ever, Australia was united. But even the might of the entire nation wouldn't be enough against their true enemy.
They already know they're not gonna win. They're just running. They're getting driven out of their own land.
The emus are winning the war.
Back in the United States, Ed Cat, the American we saw bullied during the Stone Age, was now the leader of a nation built on capitalism in Florida. He forced his citizens to work long hours in the mines and accumulate diamonds at record-breaking speeds. With his newfound power, Ed Cat went back for revenge.
What are you doing?
Hey! Hey!
Come on, boys.
Jump him! Jump him!
I'm with that
Jump
guy. I'm
him!
with that guy.
There's one down.
What? And things didn't stop there. With an army of goons by his side, Ed Cat forced different villages to join him. Stories of his ruthlessness spread, and many fled the continent by sailing across the entire Atlantic Ocean to Europe in hopes of a better life. The complete opposite of what happened in history.
There's a rebellion over there in South America. I'm gonna go there and we're gonna kill all of them.
No.
Agreed.
Bro, shut up.
Tensions rose, and it wasn't long before misinformation began to spread. Rumor was that Ed Cat had spies infiltrating different nations as migrants and feeding him crucial information to prepare for an attack.
As of right now, they're cracking firework rockets, according to our insiders. Right now, they're cracking firework rockets to come kill us.
How do we counter?
People quickly became paranoid of their surroundings and began accusing each other of being spies.
Not to change the moment, but isn't that a Chinese tag? Didn't we say we weren't gonna trust Chinese? We're not taking immigrants though. We're not taking immigrants.
Not everyone was happy with this decision. A group of players concerned that the EU had become too unstable left and formed their own society known as the Tross Sanctuary. The sanctuary became a refuge for settlers ranging from refugees to pacifists that didn't believe in violence. It soon became a safe haven for those fleeing war. With the USA threatening their borders, the people of Africa fled their civilization, and Brazil, Australia, and the European Union united their forces.
We have come from humble beginnings, starting in the center of Europe and migrating to northern Italy and the Balkans. We have created a small hamlet, Genesis, which has grown beyond what I thought was possible. We also met the Highlanders to the west, traveled to many continents, and even met the remnants of the Arctic people. But the road to the Empire has not been without losses.
Magic, I'm going through some stuff, bro. I'm going through some stuff, man. I'm not supposed to be on right now.
Friends and lovers have been lost to disasters and marauders. Many attempts to destroy us have been made.
Could you send it to 5 hours, Magic? Could you send it to 5 hours, Magic, please?
Which have left me scarred and deformed, but I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger.
Unfortunately, Magic, they're coming to us, bro.
The European Union
will be reorganized into the Second Mountain Empire.
And as by fast decree, I declare war on Eggcat and his people.
But unfortunately for Europe, their spy suspicions were correct.
There could be more, guys. There could get out. Get out.
Europe was in turmoil. Military forces were deployed to contain the population, and executions began. A couple minutes later, Common Hat, the leader of the European Union, was assassinated. It was later discovered that even Almighty, the player that got married in Europe, was a spy from Asia. At this point, I think the spies were confused who were actually citizens and who were other spies. To avenge their people, the International Alliance sailed across the Pacific Ocean to put an end to Eggcat's reign of terror.
No point. There's no point. There's no point. There's no point. No, stop shooting. Stop shooting.
Don't waste your arrows. Don't waste your arrows.
Because they had killed off most of the surrounding settlements, Eggcat's army had no allies, so they tried to escape on a plane to Asia, but was quickly cut off. The siege raged for hours.
Is it time? I mean, Egg, is it time? Egg, is it time to do the thing?
No, it's not. Shoot him. We can defend this. You guys check other sides. Check out the other sides.
Oh my god. DD minecart.
And go up. It's siege time. We need everybody. You guys have lost 6 people. Can you just go back? We won't attack anymore.
We have way more than 6 people. Yeah. Can we talk about like surrender terms and like slavery?
I feel like something bad is about to happen to Europe.
No. Oh my god. He hit it. What?
They defended their position fiercely, but then winter arrived. Wait, they just escaped.
Yeah, they jumped off the bridge.
Eggcat's men made a run for Emerald Star, the civilization they had once slaughtered. A leader from Asia arrived to survey the situation.
We killed so many of them. We killed like 16 of them.
This alone is not going to be enough. Are you guys out? Is there anyone?
Unluck didn't want to be on the wrong side of history.
So I was talking with one of the guys from Africa, and so they're saying they're bringing like hella people over here.
Bro! He's getting assassinated!
The assassination! And he's gone!
He's gone. No way that just happened.
With Eggcat's death, the rest of his army surrendered, and the world breathed a sigh of relief. News of the Alliance's victory joyfully spread across the lands, with many believing that the fall of Florida would usher in a new era of prosperity. The Africans returned home and began construction on a number of colonies along the Nile River, and a massive city in Carthage, a reference to a real ancient civilization. During the peace, many soldiers left their nation's army to become independent mercenaries. One duo was Sir Koala and Broman, 2 Australian soldiers who happened to stumble upon the Tross Sanctuary, the society of pacifists that left Europe before the war. Australia just entered Europe.
We gotta focus one guy.
What?
Yeah, get over here, buddy. We don't care if you're a spy.
Oh no.
I got a bad. He was begging for his life. Well, we might as well go for it. Let's go.
Oh no, they don't know.
Hey, Yanashi! Go, run.
It was an absolute massacre.
Yeah. Dude, we're wiping out Italy. Let's go.
You're being docile for so long.
Can you stop?
We don't care. We don't care.
Okay, fine. You stop now, please. Jesus Christ.
I love all the people saying they're spies. Yeah, we don't care. We're not with Eggcat.
After annihilating the sanctuary, the two decided to use their skills to form the Assassins Guild, an underground network of criminals that would pull political strings from the shadows. They sailed to the remote island of Madagascar and built an underground headquarters hidden away from the civilized world, and their legacy began. After the raid, the people of the sanctuary realized that their home was no longer safe, but they didn't want to train an army or fight back. That would be very pacifist of them. So like before, they decided to leave. But this time, they weren't just leaving the sanctuary, they were leaving the entire planet behind. After all, home for them wasn't tied down to a single place. In a secret initiative known as NASA, the people of the sanctuary began a mission to go into space, developing different methods of space travel.
3, 2, 1, liftoff. Oh no. Can
Can we start on selecting a new king?
In an interview, the head of NASA, Draco, stated that he believed the initiative was necessary for the survival of mankind as he foresaw the world descending into an all-out war in the future. It's fair to say they lost their faith in humanity.
Oh, what's up?
Oh my.
To represent the Dark Age, we decided to simulate one of the greatest catastrophes in human history, the Black Death. A disease that once took out almost a third of Europe's population. Meet Blue Destroyer. I know nothing about him except that he's from Australia and was very far from home. But little did he know that he was patient zero. As I followed him, I realized that he was traveling to make friends around the world, which was perfect. Nations went into panic as citizens, soldiers, and even top leaders became infected.
What gets rid of it?
I think it's shoot and
Do not. I have 1 HP.
I think it's shoot and kill it.
Oh, what does this do?
Without any idea of what was going on, they named the mysterious disease the Red Death, due to the infected having red particle flash above their heads. And in under a day, the Red Death had spread to 95% of the world. In response, emergency hospitals were thrown up, milk buckets were sold on the black market, and quarantine systems were created. Thanks to the fast response, most people survived. However, one colony in Africa was wiped out by the disease, and it was quickly abandoned, never to be traversed upon again. In Asia, the nation of Taiwan was growing in power. After being driven out of China by Russia, they had turned the island into a cultural fortress full of temples, a main gate, and a giant bridge connecting them to the mainland. When their Emperor Unluck returned from investigating North America, he discovered some intriguing news. The rest of Asia was still alive. Another empire had been discovered right next to them on the mainland, developing this whole time. And get this, they named themselves, quote, Real China.
For the real China! Real China! Real China!
They had to settle who was the real China. A few assassination attempts later, China quickly devolved into civil war. Many civilians fled in fear of their safety. The remaining civilians were all drafted into the war. Young Zhi, the leader of mainland China, rallies his troops for a large-scale assault on Taiwan. At Taiwan, Unluck positioned lookouts across the wall. What they didn't know was that their enemies were coming from behind.
Don't realize that that's them coming down the hill. He doesn't see them. They have the high ground on Taiwan's base. Oh, they're advancing on him. Are they hiding? They're running, they're running.
Legs are tingling.
Yo, there's some guy in the tree up there.
Taiwan manages to recover and force Real China to retreat. It was now time for Unluck to go on the offensive. They burned down one of Real China's towns and marched for their capital. But unbeknownst to him, Binzai and the Australians had arrived at Real China's capital, Marin, to support Young Zhi's claim to the throne.
We're here to help you, Young Jer. We're here to help you. We're your reinforcements, bro.
Taiwan is on the way.
Doing it, they're doing it.
They're all in there. They're all in there. Don't go down. Wait.
Careful.
There's no way. Fuji really just killed himself.
Fuji, bro.
No. Fuji really just. Oh my god.
Taiwan began bombing their bunker from above, forcing them out into the open.
Uh-oh, Binzai, I don't think he's gonna make it.
Get this guy. Get this guy.
The battle incurred huge casualties from both sides, until finally, Binzai fled the battle and Young Zhi surrendered.
Oh my god, Binzai just... Bro, he just juked 3 people.
To not have any more unnecessary casualties, Unluck decided to spare Young Zhi's life and have him peacefully assimilate his people. Disgraced, Binzai never returned to Australia. Instead, he made the long journey to Madagascar, where he burned his crown and reunited with his old friends, this time as a member of the Assassin's Guild. In the Arctic Empire, an order came in to move Ottomer, the prisoner, to a cell underground.
That's my prison.
No, follow me.
Alright, in you go. In you get.
What's happening?
I'm the guard here,
Listen
so please, I don't want to kill you.
JK Shadow.
Hi.
He's a nice man. He'll treat you well.
I'll try to at least.
If it was anything like Europe's prison,
Back in there.
Get back in there,
Yeah,
Miss
could
Piggy.
go back in if you stop hitting me.
Ottomer wasn't in for a good time.
I don't really see a way he could escape at the moment.
Oh. Well, this is awkward.
Let's go.
Don't. Hey, bro.
And just like that, Ottenberg was free.
Thank you. I'm just gonna go to South America, or I'm not Canada because I know there are people there, but maybe like the east coast of the U.S. And I don't know, just sort of try to start over.
What happened to their prisoner? How did you guys let him escape?
Okay. Don't ask me. Okay, ask these architects.
What the Arctic didn't know was what they had just unleashed onto the world. As knowledge became more widespread, players were starting to become more aware. Too aware. I noticed on the map that one man was ahead of his time and was making his way to the edge of the world. I had to get rid of him before he realized that the world was flat. You've seen too much. To celebrate this new golden age, the EU decided to hold an Olympics in Italy to bring countries and athletes together from all over the world, competing in sports like archery, mountain climbing, and pit fighting? So basically no Olympic sports except for archery. During the buzz of the Olympics, the Assassins Guild silently grew in numbers as an underground network of criminals formed. Exiles, thieves, and bandits from across the world would join their ranks. They even had eyes in the highest levels of government, recruiting the likes of Benzai, the leader of Australia, who owed them a favor. Some of the largest construction projects happened during this time. Carthage was now a sprawling city filled with life. The architects constructed an embassy, a great sphinx, and even a grand palace. Travelers from all over the world arrived in an attempt to catch a glimpse of the legendary milk of life, and musicians composed songs to honor their dead.
Wait, they
Laughing.
Wait, they made their own anthem, like their actual own song. So they're putting up fireworks in respect.
I made the boats racially diverse because it's like made out of different woods. This development invited in merchants from all cultures around the world, transforming Carthage into a massive international trading center. They accumulated their wealth trading honey and used it to back their own currency called the trillium dollar. And soon, Africa became the most advanced civilization in the world. A technological revolution began as new players skilled in redstone entered the world. Farming became automated, infrastructure like roads made transportation easier, and some regions even attempted air travel. Meanwhile, the NASA initiative was making rapid advancements in space travel. After dozens of tests and iterations, they invented reusable rockets that could send players to space and also return back to Earth for more people. But you're probably wondering, where are they going? Oh yeah, they recreated the entire moon in the air. The head of NASA, Draco, began a space training program to teach players how to use this new technology.
Someone put a lever on the middle piston.
I got it. This one?
Oh. Why did you break the...
Great Britain also began their own flight program. They built an international space station in the sky and gathered astronauts from all over the world. However, they were more successful with horizontal flight, building airplanes that could travel across entire continents. On the other hand, Mexico used their redstone to make some fire beats.
Anthem, 10-hour loop.
Oh, we in Mexico. We in Mexico.
Trouble was brewing in South America. An Amazonian named Heathen Girl, fleeing persecution, traveled the world looking for someone to avenge her people. In Africa, they just gave her some $1 trillion.
Here, we'll have you take this just as a token.
The only people that accepted her request was the Assassins Guild, who were eager to jump at another opportunity to fight. Their goal was to take out Lurdak, the leader of Brazil who had been pressing the Amazonians.
Tell us where your leader is or you die.
Dozens of Amazonians were massacred, religious texts were burned, and some were even enslaved. They launched their operation at dusk and observed their enemy from the shadows, but then decided to just confront the Emperor face to face instead.
From North America and Australia, we are the joint force, and we are the Assassins Guild.
Yup, that's what I thought.
The European Union was also there on a diplomatic mission and protected the Brazilian emperor. Every assassin there got wiped out in under a minute. Benzai, the leader of Australia, died in the assassination attempt, causing the entire empire of Australia to fall. I can't believe they thought that was going to work. For the first time in Minecraft history, reproduction is added into the game as 500 new players entered the world. This increase in population led to the rise of different mini-societies and subcultures throughout the continent, such as the Philippines, Greece, and a warrior society in India. They were at a disadvantage with resources, but they did have a lot of really cool builds. One of these regions was the United States, a new civilization emerging from the mesas of California, hoping to bring America back into their former glory, led by their president, the Mustache Man.
Bro.
They were as patriotic as it gets, flaunting an American flag and a Mount Rushmore built in 240p. You could even do the most American thing of all here, exploit the legal system. Feeling the freedom, I decided to sample the local cuisine.
I take my job seriously, you know? This is the American dream. We are currently out of fish. Our fishermen have just been lacking. You can blame them for that. You know, sanctions hit hard, COVID, supply chain.
I just want a small vanilla ice cream. Your ice cream machine's working? Unrealistic.
Gone. Oh, it's not working.
Hey, this is a robbery. Hand it over right now, right now. I want all your filet-o fishes and I want your ice cream machine.
If you don't like the customer, you can just spit in their food. That's what I usually do.
Damn, we're working at Popeyes now. I'm gonna leave them a 1-star Yelp review. Wait. Get out, get out, get out. Policeman Richard, Policeman Richard. I would like to report a crime. Over at that McDonald's right there, that worker just pulled a gun on me.
Alright, let's beat the out of this boy.
Let's go. Oh,
Where'd he go?
He's gone.
No, I started running.
This man right here, this man right here.
Yo, MagicGum, can I do a trade with you?
Someone call the president. Call all the officials.
Alright. Gulfstream, you have the right to an attorney. Who's your attorney?
Myself.
Chill. The president has a actual
Where's
plan.
Boris?
Why are we having a meeting?
And then he pulled a gun on me.
I will admit, I did pull a gun on MagicGum. However, I would like to clarify that MagicGum actually pulled a gun on me first.
Objection!
Whoa.
Objection, assumption. That's
some big accusation.
Mustache, before you make your decision,
To make sure that these newer nations didn't pose a threat, the European Union formed a quote peacekeeping force to show off their power and force new societies under their thumbs. However, this approach led to a rebellious population.
I would rather die than join a said empire.
I feel though I do have a concern that war is very likely.
One of these new civilizations was the nation of Babylon in the Middle East. From the Fertile Crescent, they sent out scouts to learn more about the world they had entered. They extracted large oil deposits and discovered cultural icons such as the Kaaba and Mecca. But after finding the city of Carthage in Africa, they realized just how far behind they were, seeing a settlement with hundreds of players, outnumbering them 2-1. Nations like Sparta and Athens in Greece didn't even get a chance to develop, as Europe stationed soldiers to keep their population in check. To prevent the same fate, Babylon scouts began seeking out other new societies near the Middle East, discovering India and a warrior society hidden away in the Himalayan mountains. In secrecy, the three nations formed a pact, and a new empire that could disrupt the balance of powers was born.
Brazilians do not want to fight.
We have the biggest misunderstanding in the world right now.
Yeah, we only want to
Brazilians
defend
do not
ourselves.
want to.
Okay.
Alright, wait, we need to go somewhere quiet.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Ottoman terrorized new nations and managed to somehow take out the leaders of Sparta, Athens, and Brazil, wiping out entire populations of people. Peace negotiations in South America? Ottoman was there. Great Britain chilling just drinking some tea? Ottoman was there. You look really closely, you could probably find Ottoman in your family reunion pictures as well. As long as Ottoman remained alive, citizens around the globe lived in fear. Soon, he had accumulated dozens of high-level bounties on his head and was constantly living on the run.
I've been all over, yeah, I'm just gonna probably start a hut and watch the world blow up.
Satisfied with his work, Ottoman decided to put down the minecart once and for all and escape to a remote island where he disappeared from society's grasp forever.
Sorry about it. There are a couple of things that I want to get all the way. First thing is that we want to make a nation where we can people can live in
Yo, what? Yo, global warming. Yo, this is some serious global warming. What?
Yo, come in.
It's business. Holy shit.
Yo, hide.
Cover the door. Cover the
On
roof.
fire.
Cover the roof.
Yo, this is
Hey,
not
dig
like any
down,
global
dig
warming
down,
I've ever seen.
dig
Oh,
down.
true. Smart.
Everybody dig down. Dig.
Out of nowhere, global warming engulfed the world in flames, burning down towns, monuments, and temples. It was a poignant reminder of humanity's devastating capabilities. When they arose from the destruction, they found plains made of fire and civilization collapsing.
Oh my God.
Homes were wrecked, trade shut down, and an uneasy silence permeated through the air. Weeks of progress was instantly reset. The calamity became known by many names around the world, such as the death reign by the Persians or night of fire by the Europeans. Later, it was discovered that global warming had even taken out the leaders of the European Union, splitting the factions apart. And so, a period of reconstruction began as nations rebuilt from the ashes.
Oh God, everything is on fire.
Oh my god.
You're not quite good.
Oh my god.
In the 14th century, the richest man in the world was an African king known as Mansa Musa. He was so rich, he actually crashed the economies of countries by giving them too much gold. I wanted to see what would happen if someone suddenly came into such wealth. So I found a random player.
You think I'm looking broke? Is that what you're about to say? You say I'm broke?
I mean, I don't want to point any fingers, but I'm a visual learner.
Yeah, can you tell me this guy's name so I can Google him?
Gave him stacks of diamonds and teleported him to the middle of the Sahara Desert. For historical accuracy, of course. He traveled north to the city of Carthage.
Hello, I am Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa. I'm a man of extreme wealth, and I would like to offer you some of my wealth, just for good nature, honestly. I don't expect anything in return.
And decided to give half of the diamonds to Africa. And surprisingly, no one tried to mug him or question how he obtained the diamonds. He then traveled all the way back to his home, Sparta, and funded an entire army's worth of diamond armor. Seeing this development, the European Union decided to hire the Spartans as mercenaries and continue to search for new societies from the population boom to oppress. The Mexicans met with the president of the US, the Mustache Man, in an attempt to lure him into Mexico, which was not obvious at all.
We were going to have a democratic election, but one of our co-leaders, he stepped up and he stole the election, and his goons were protecting him.
Their plan was to claim that Mexico was corrupt and needed him to liberate the region, then get him to walk across a very suspicious set of staircases and have the floor fall underneath him. Back in Mexico, they lost a couple citizens testing out their trap.
So you're staying.
We asked for your assistance.
Yeah, we need your help.
Oh, you're asking for assistance. No.
Unable to convince him to leave his nation, the Mexicans journeyed to South America to meet with the Brazilians who also wanted to bring down the Mustache Man. Together, they began scheming another way to bring the patriotic nation to its knees. After a failed assassination attempt on Trillium, the king of Africa, the assassins were on the brink of being wiped out. So, the surviving members of the guild turned to the great Persian Sultanate for assistance, an empire that also saw Africa as an enemy. They offered diamonds in exchange for safety in Persia. The Persian Sultan agreed, believing that the enemy of his enemy was his friend, so he went to Madagascar to retrieve the diamonds. But on the journey, he was stranded in the middle of the ocean after a glitch. The Sultan walked for days, crossing mountains, forests, and deserts, and his people prayed for guidance on how to rule during his absence. When the Persian Sultan returned, he found his home Babylon had fallen into chaos. Peacekeepers from the European Union had invaded to quell the Persian Empire before they became too powerful. His people were driven out of Babylon and into their last stronghold in the Himalayas. Surrounded by enemies, the Sultan was captured and executed. At the Himalayas, the Persians were on high alert and sent a messenger to deliver a warning to the Philippines, another new society from the population boom. The peacekeepers were coming for them all.
Take arms, harm the towers. Alright guys,
Those walls look sick.
we're gonna patrol this area, don't sway too far, we're gonna hold this down. This is our stronghold.
When the remnants of the peacekeepers arrived, they were in awe. Before them loomed a massive Himalayan fortress carved into the mountains.
They're scaling the walls. Oh, they're breaking through the main gate.
Oh.
They outnumber the people. They're going back to the wall.
Teammates.
Oh shit!
With momentum on their side, the Europeans scaled the wall.
Two kings are fighting, the emperors.
Get him, he's slow. This is from yesterday.
One by one, the Persians fell to the peacekeepers. But just as they were about to be utterly destroyed,
The
right there!
Wait, is that the Philippines?
Like the great Hannibal Barca, the Philippine army crossed snowy mountains and charged into battle.
Oh shoot, they have the high ground. The Philippines are flanking from the left. They're chasing them from the fortress.
Someone, one person.
Kill 6960.
No!
And just died.
They took out the leader of the peacekeepers and drove the rest into the surrounding forest. Mindless would later compose a song to symbolize the tragedy of the battle with both armies beyond recovery. In 1692, a town in Salem, Massachusetts put people they suspected of witchcraft on trial. Of course, there were no witches, but even so, many people were executed. So in honor of history, I thought it'd be interesting to see what would happen here and took 8 participants from the Americas for a high-risk, high-reward social experiment.
Welcome to Salem, guys. So this is a port city in Massachusetts in an innocent little town. But there's a witch amongst your ranks. If you have a diamond axe, you are the traitor, and your goal is to every night kill off one person and convince the rest of the townspeople that another person's a traitor. Oh shoot.
The social climate of America.
They're not dying. They're not dying. 2, 1.
Oh god.
Let's see it.
Oh,
Oh.
What?
But I exposed the killer by accident in the 3rd round. Instead of executing Z-Man, I thought it'd be funny to send him to the other side of the world for some cultural immersion.
Yo.
I have an exile for you guys. Z-Man, can you guess where you are?
Oh gosh. Don't look at the shield.
Welcome to Florida, Z-Man.
Florida?
Unfortunately for Z-Man, he was actually in Russia and was thrust into the middle of a historic rivalry with China. Ever since Russia's invasion of China in the Ice Age, the two hegemons have been harassing each other's settlements until a Chinese emperor named Unluck sent his forces to the Great Wall, preventing Russia from entering their land. So Russia began preparing for an invasion of the Great Wall.
We have collectively enough vodka in our bloodstream to kill a bear. Alright? And we will destroy those stupid Chinese trying to...
So loud, dude.
It's more than time, it's more than time!
Oh, I see him, I see him.
Oh, they see him,
They're here, they're here, they're here.
Oh, they see him. They're running. The beacon has been lit. The signal.
Okay, so I think I found the mama.
The siege.
Nick, you betrayed! You betrayed Nick!
Anarchy to the system.
Yeah, I am. Get randomly placed. It's low.
That's your emperor right there.
Unlock the emperor separated from his group.
Z-Man, the exiled new Russian, is now in the fight for his life.
Who's gonna win?
Oh shoot! Kerbo took fall damage.
The TNT. Quick.
They're supporting with archer fire from the walls.
Looks like I didn't get that.
He was the king of Russia. Wait, they're retreating.
Oh, they're realizing the king's dead. Now they're contemplating what to do.
The Russians were ultimately defeated, but luckily for Z-Man, he survived the war. After celebrating his victory, the Emperor of China, Unluck, dug a giant tunnel to transport his troops and embarked on a great war campaign across Asia, conquering all surrounding civilizations. His name became feared as a great general, and Unluck's world conquest began. Only a group of hermits living in isolation in Japan managed to escape his forces. They camouflaged their camp from a top-down point of view to make it impossible to locate them on maps. Unluck established a strategic alliance with new societies like the Philippines before marching north to conquer the Arctic people.
There they are. There's Adamir.
Chinese! It's the Chinese!
Okay, guys, we outnumber them. Remember, we outnumber them.
They're all running.
Get back, get back.
Target the weak.
Dead.
Unluck is taking the first casualty. Even though they're outnumbered, they're sticking together.
Arctic is separating.
We defend the coast. We defend the coast.
Get back, get back.
Guys, don't flee yet. Remember, we could outnumber them. Everyone regroup. We could outnumber them.
I don't have a bow. I don't have a bow. Okay. Go.
Their emperor has left.
Not defending his own nation?
He's leaving his people to die and successfully routed them to Canada. He continued his campaign south, gaining victories across Europe and Africa.
I'm blowing it up. There's people here.
Kill them all!
Forged by conflict, Unluck quickly became one of the most successful generals in the world. Although his army went virtually undefeated in battle, he didn't make much of an effort to nation build afterwards, and large cities like Carthage quickly regained control. As the great Genghis Khan once said, conquering the world on horseback is easy. It is dismounting and governing that is hard. In order to develop nuclear weapons, countries had to build their own nuclear silos and assemble 3 out of the 7 natural resources from around the world. This incentivized nations to trade or raid other regions for natural resources. But you're probably wondering, Magic, what do those ingredients have to do with nuclear weapons? Shut up. An international meeting was called in France to discuss the nukes. With the world's greatest leaders coming together, security was iron tight, with soldiers guarding the surroundings and patrolling the route to prevent any bombings. These negotiations could potentially dictate the fate of the world. Would nations cooperate, or will the world end in a nuclear winter?
We've all agreed that in the case that somebody uses a nuclear weapon, it is a war crime, and that the rest of the world will declare war against them and is free to use war crimes against them.
The nations agreed to sign a treaty creating the threat of mutually assured destruction. Here in the news, Z-Man, the Exile, and his new Russian friend decided to travel all the way from Russia to his former home in the US to, quote, borrow some gold.
Hopefully there'll be an internal power struggle and we can slip through unnoticed.
Under the cover of the night, Z-Man makes his move.
Oh. Wait, he knows exactly where it is. What?
What? This is like a legendary arc, bro. Man become part of the USA, becomes communist, steals the USA's gold.
Dude, he stole like 10 stacks.
Little by little, Z-Man transported the goods, pulling off what would become known as the Great Heist.
Hang on. Put this in there. I don't know where you are.
They're putting a flag of Great Britain to frame Great Britain.
To make matters worse, the British parachuted into the US by plane and began burning everything down, even the McDonald's. Now this had to be personal. At their bunker, I found the McDonald's worker giving the president a pep talk.
Look at us. We are American.
Another
We're not
Russia
wimps.
died.
We're not British. We're not French. We don't surrender. We don't give up. We're gonna go back there and we're gonna take back every last inch of land.
Gulfstream, the McDonald's cashier, went up to the surface and faced the entirety of Great Britain by himself.
Gulfstream is singing the national anthem while taking back McDonald's. The low McDonald's road.
Inspired by his courage, the rest of his country charged in.
Lights last gleaming when the rockets they flare.
As they paved the way, the president returned to his Oval Office when word suddenly came that Mexico and Brazil was about to pull the trigger. All the mustache man wanted was for America to be free. And if it couldn't be free, it wasn't America.
You guys want to nuke your own civilization?
You'll die with this nation. Oh my god.
Oh my lord.
I'm the fishing guy. You were attacking.
Mustache died.
Thinking nuclear war had broken out, countries panicked, launching their nukes at their enemies to avoid destruction.
I'm happy.
Oh no.
Happy like a peach in a tree, there I am hanging.
Oh no, South America.
There'd be someone like you to pick me. I'm happy, oh happy Lord. I'm happy like the tree in the breeze. There I am away to you, hoping that you'd sit by me.
This is so sad.
NASA began evacuating their citizens.
Yo, I can see the world. So cool.
This is cool, wow.
I can feel now how I've got so much to live.
With nukes falling around the globe, players began preparing for impact.
Well, how's the end of the world, Z-Man?
Pretty lonely. As it has been for quite a while.
It's just so peaceful here.
Yeah.
You've been on a long journey.
Yeah, I traveled all over Asia looking for people, and then all my friends died, so just me again.
Hello.
Buy anything?
Hello.
Yeah, I would like
Actually, I'm in a 25% off sale.
25% off.
Steak.
Would you accept a 50% off considering it's the end of the world?
The story of this world, its civilizations, culture, and history came to an end, only to be remembered by you and I. Thank you to all my patrons for making this content possible. If you want to take a look at the aftermath and tour some of these civilizations, I'm going to be releasing the map on my Patreon very soon.